Welcome, everybody. It is the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. And on today's episode of the Bullpen, the biggest story is what happened on Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers, before even completing a pass as the quarterback of the New York Jets, tears his Achilles tendon. The Jets went on to win a wild game. However, do they have any hope, despite that win this season, with Rodgers set to miss the entire year? And is he done? Is Aaron Rodgers finished? That's all coming up on this edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. And let me remind you that get extra value this football season with Bet Rivers Squares. Win up to $10,000 in bonus money. Bet $10 in same-game parlays on any game with the Squares icon to earn a square. It's all coming up next here in the Bullpen. So, the Jets and the story of Aaron Rodgers was the most talked about storyline of the entire NFL offseason. It was not the Chiefs trying to win back-to-back Super Bowls. It was not the Bengals trying to win their first Super Bowl. It was not Deshaun Watson playing a full season for the first time in 3 years. It was not Josh Allen trying to get over the hump in the playoffs. It was not Lamar Jackson signing his big deal or Jalen Hurts trying to get over the top or anything else. These stories were all big, but nothing topped Aaron Rodgers. And before he even completed a pass, after starting the season on Monday Night Football on 9/11, and just every time I just think about 9/11, it's just bone chilling. You go back to all those moments, and I talked about it the other day, but on a much lighter note, with just everything surrounding that New York. And Aaron Rodgers gets on the field, incomplete first pass, gets injured, and that's it. It's possible Aaron Rodgers will never complete a pass as a New York Jet. He'll be 40 years old next year, coming off an Achilles. I don't mean to compare myself to Aaron Rodgers. He's a great athlete. I am a non-athlete. But I did tear my Achilles at 41 years old, and it was tough to come back. Now, for him, it should be easier, but it's not easy. An Achilles is a tough thing to bounce back from, especially at that age, especially at that position. We'll see if he wants to do it. If he does, well, maybe he's their quarterback next year. Let's start with what happened after that. The Jets played a heck of a game. They really did. I thought they were going to get boat raced. They were down 13-3 at halftime. It was 13-6 at the end of 3. Zach Wilson, let's face it, he's a terrible quarterback. He did not play particularly well. The one touchdown he threw was a remarkable catch by Garrett Wilson. If you haven't seen it, well, I don't even know what to say. This catch was unbelievable. One-handed, he's getting the other arm pulled down. He tips it up in the air, catches it with the one hand. It was crazy. He didn't do much on the day, which, unfortunately, if you have Garrett Wilson in a fantasy league, his value just went down, not down the tubes, but went down. But that was the one touchdown. He had 5 catches for 34 yards in that touchdown. And Zach Wilson, he threw a pick. He's not very good. We talked about this. He's not a mobile quarterback. He doesn't have a big-time arm. He's not a good decision maker. The Jets then, but Josh Allen was a total disaster. Josh Allen could not stay out of his own way. The second half was a mess. He fumbled. He got picked 3 times. His decision-making was atrocious. Josh Allen has turned the ball over as much as any quarterback in football since coming into the league. It's a problem. Now, most of the time he overcomes it with great play, and he's not usually to the point of how bad he was. But yesterday or Monday he was just atrocious. It was hideous. And that was just enough for the Jets to tie the game. And then eventually, after the Bills couldn't do anything with it, with their first possession in overtime, they go 3 and out. And the Bills return the punt 65 yards by rookie Xavier Gibson for a touchdown. And the Jets win 22-16. And from that perspective, everybody's happy. But the second Aaron Rodgers got hurt in that game last night, or I keep saying last night, but it's Monday night, the season was over. Sorry, Jet fans. I know you got Jet fans are going into one of two camps. They're going into, we won, our defense is unstoppable, we're going to pretend we can win with a bad quarterback like this is 1985 delusion, or they're going into the woe is me camp. We can't have nice things all everywhere. Jinxed. Jinxes don't exist. Curses don't exist. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. They got screwed. Their season's over. Zach Wilson can talk about, he could say whatever he wants. He could, and they could talk about, he's their guy. We believe in Zach Wilson. Robert Saleh, whose name was escaping me for a minute, can say whatever he wants. We believe in him. None of that matters. None of it's true. They don't believe in Zach Wilson. If they did, they wouldn't have traded for Aaron Rodgers. He's the guy for now because there's no better options. I saw Mike Tannenbaum with a tweet. Well, they should go trade for Jacoby Brissett or Matthew Stafford's making a ton of money. He's old, too, coming off a big injury. Who knows how much he's got left? Now, he played great in week 1, but who knows? Jacoby Brissett, that doesn't make you any better. Talk about signing Colt McCoy. What the hell good is that going to do? Want to go get Joe Flacco or Matt Ryan? Carson Wentz? None of these guys can help. The Jets are screwed. They are not. First of all, this idea that they were a lock playoff team, even with Aaron Rodgers, was laughable. I thought they'd get in. I picked them to finish 7th in the AFC. But there were first of all, nobody's a sure thing. And they were far from a sure thing. And now they got no chance. See, some people are idiots, and they overreact to week 1 as if, well, if my team played great in week 1, they're great. And if my team stunk in week 1, they stunk. But that's stupid. It's beyond stupid. Let me take you back to last year, right? Last year, in week 1 of the NFL season, the Bengals lost to the Steelers, and the Bengals, Joe Burrow threw 4 picks. Okay? He threw 4 picks. Last year, the San Francisco 49ers in week 1 last year lost to the Chicago Bears 19-10. Lost to the Bears. Philadelphia's defense, which was clearly the best in football as the season went along, they won, but they gave up 35 points to Detroit. The Jaguars, who got to the second round of the playoffs, lost to the Commanders. And Baker Mayfield the Cowboys lost to a faltering Tom Brady 19-3. Things happen early in the season. That doesn't mean you are what you are in week 1. You can't overreact to week 1, good or bad. Your thoughts on teams coming into the season should not change unless there's a catastrophic injury, which is what has happened to the Jets, and that's why they're finished. That's why they are finished. It's that simple. You come up with their defense is great. Yeah, whatever. Their defense is fine. It's nothing special. There's no special defenses in the NFL anymore. This is not the 80s. You can't win with Trent Dilfer at quarterback. You have to have a quarterback to get to the playoffs. It's that simple. You at least have to have an average quarterback. They don't have anywhere close to that. I got delusional people in my fantasy football text groups saying, well, the Jets have the best roster in the league. Are you insane? The best roster in the league? It's amazing how delusional people are. The Jets have a good roster. They'll probably win 6-7 games, maybe 8. They're not going to the playoffs, and everybody knows it. You could con yourself into anything you want to believe. And it was a nice win. I give them credit for that. It was a nice win. But look at the schedule that the Jets now have to face. Now, yeah, you could look at that schedule and say, well, you thought they would have lost to Buffalo, so why couldn't they just go ahead and beat other good teams? Because it's yes, that could happen, but it's highly unlikely. The Jets with Zach Wilson got to go to Dallas next week. Don't like their chances there. Let me look at the Bet Rivers line on that game. I haven't even looked at that one yet. Let's see. Cowboys are a 9-point favorite. I'm guessing they would have been a 3-point favorite if Aaron Rodgers was playing. Maybe even less. Maybe 2. New England at home the week after. All right, not so tough there. Then they got Kansas City at home. Brutal. At Denver. Okay, not too tough. Philly at home. The Giants. They got to play the Chargers. They got to play Buffalo again, obviously. Miami, twice still. The Browns. Again, and I'm not anointing the Browns either, just because they look great in week 1. I thought they'd be good. I picked them to win 10 games this year. They look great in their first game. They're not a short thing either. You got to prove yourself over some time before I make a significant change in opinion. But unless there's a catastrophic injury to an important player. And that's exactly what Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers was the hope, right? And even with Rodgers, he's coming off a bad year last year. I think I kind of talked myself into him being rejuvenated playing with the Jets because they do have a lot of talent. I mean, they're a talented team. I think they're top 10, top 12 team in terms of talent, but on the lower end of that. But in the end, you just can't do it. Nowadays, making a run in the playoffs, let alone getting to the Super Bowl, is all about the quarterback. There are a few exceptions where, like a guy like Nick Foles went on a big run with Philadelphia a few years ago, and you won with a subpar quarterback who just played great for a stretch. But that's such a rarity. How many teams go to the playoffs without a good quarterback, let alone make a run in them? It's just so rare. And you have so many good teams in the AFC that it's just, I think it's a near impossible. If the kudos to Robert Saleh if the Jets make the playoffs. I think there's almost no chance that's going to happen. I think there's no chance it's going to happen. None. We'll see if I'm wrong. But I'll be absolutely shocked beyond belief if I'm wrong there. So we'll see. All right. Thursday night game this week. Vikings at the Eagles. Eagles are a 7-point favorite. Eagles got the victory over New England. It was not pretty. They didn't play particularly well after a good start. The offense was a little shaky. And Minnesota played an ugly game against Tampa, a game they probably should have won. A couple of bad turnovers. Cousins turned the ball over. I'm leaning towards the Vikings to cover this game. I think the Eagles will win, but I'm leaning towards the Vikings covering. I'll take the 7 with Minnesota. If you want to bet them on the win line at Bet Rivers, they're plus 250. I'm not that bold on that game. I don't like it enough, but I do like them with the 7. I think there is a chance that they will win the game. But I'd say more likely Eagles win, but by less than 7 points. Early line on the Browns and Steelers, by the way, looking ahead to next Monday. The Browns are favored by 2 in Pittsburgh. That doesn't happen very often. Browns haven't won a regular season game in Pittsburgh in forever. We know they won the playoff game there in 2020. A couple of huge injuries for the Steelers. We know for the Browns, Jack Conklin's out for the year. He tore up his knee. They're going to go with DeJuan Jones at right tackle, the massive rookie. For the Steelers, we've got no Deontay Johnson. That is a huge, huge injury He's their most. I was arguing yesterday whether he's their best receiver. Some people would say George Pickens. Deontay's certainly the most accomplished receiver. And Cam Hayward, that's the biggest loss. Cam Hayward is the heart and soul of their defense along with T.J. Watt. He makes things easier for Watt on the outside. He is their key guy inside, Cam Hayward, and that is a devastating loss. So no Cam Hayward. Their right tackle's banged up. Their tight end, Pat Freiermuth, is banged up. So that's some big injuries there. So both teams got a right tackle situation, but more injuries for the Steelers. And, again, some key guys. Cam Hayward, who's their second best player, just behind T.J. Watt in their front seven, and Deontay Johnson, who's their most accomplished skill position player. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. One other thing before I wrap things up here real quick. Major League Baseball with just a couple of weeks left. And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the baseball playoffs. It's an exciting time of the year. You look at the wild card race in the National League with, what is it? For that final wild card spot, you've got 4 teams within 2 games of the final wild card spot between Arizona, San Fran, Miami, and the Reds. In the American League, you got Toronto, Texas, and Seattle battling for the last 2 wild card spots. And Texas and Seattle are also battling for the division, where they're only a couple games back of Houston. Cubs still can catch the Brewers in the NL Central. Those are really the only division. Well, but Tampa Bay can still catch Baltimore also in the American League East. So there's some division races there as well. That's going to do it for me. Thanks to Max Gotro, filling in for Monzo, producing the show today. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. I'll be back on Friday. We'll make all the NFL picks, go around every game. The latest on the injury front, the spreads and all that, courtesy, again, of Bet Rivers. You've been listening to Adam the Bull in the Bullpen. I'll see you next time.